A couple years ago, Heather and I were fortunate enough to make a couple episodes with FliteTest, and one of the things that a lot of people asked about was the wing rack that we were using. And this was something that I had kind of thrown together to help me transport multiple wings, since Heather and I typically travel with at least 2 wings apiece to the field. It just made getting from the truck to the fly spot a lot easier to deal with. I started by making a plan. I kind of sketched out on a piece of paper what I was planning to do so that I knew what fittings I would need to buy from the store. It's really important that when you make a plan that you draw it out in the most impossible ink that you can, that's the hardest to see, because you wouldn't want to be able to read your own plans. So when I got to the store, my plans basically fell apart, and I changed the size of the material that I was using, had to sort of mock it up in the cart. All the materials except for the pool noodles came to a grand total of $25. So once I got home, I just started sticking stuff together and sort of coming up with a starting point. And what I'm doing here is just sort of making the end so that there's no real critical measurement here. This is just what's going to stick out and contain the feet. And I'm using a crosscut sled that I use for woodworking to do this. Probably not the best choice for a tool, but it worked fine. Maybe a chop saw or something like that would be a little bit easier and nicer. While cutting, I'm just trying to make sure that I've got some symmetry here, that everything is the same size. This little piece of PVC decided to show me his awesome b-boy skills.
Zero dancer. Zero dancer.
So here I'm just cutting out the end pieces. Again, no big deal, just sort of making sure they're the same size more than worrying about the actual measurement that they are. And I'm laying it out to make sure that I'm cutting and looking at the right angles. Here I'm grabbing my wings so that I can mock this stuff up. Again, there's no measuring going on. It's really just a, lay it out and make sure that it's going to work. This is my 60-inch wing. This is my next to largest aircraft that I have. So I figured making it fit this, it would obviously fit anything smaller. Sweaty glaze on my arms, you can tell that it's about 700 degrees outside. I'm using a very super accurate measuring method here called eyeballing, and so I'm just going to cut these pieces, and I'm using a super dangerous stop to make sure that the PVC gets thrown across the shop, and I'm being sure to squint my eyes every time I cut. When you're laying this out, you got to keep in mind that you've got to have space for the pool noodle padding. At this point, I realized that I had forgotten my pool noodles. I had to be sure that I wasn't spotted going and stealing any pool noodles from the pool. So now I'm just getting a measurement, and that, as you can see, was too wide. I need it to fit sort of snug, so I'm taking off some material here, and then I'll do a retest. Once I've got the measurements down, then I'll go ahead and cut all the pieces and then lay them out how they're going to go. You also want to do this before you start gluing anything, so that you don't make two left sides or two right sides, which I've done before. I'm using the PVC cement to glue this all together. One of the costs that I wasn't aware of was the fact that I needed a bag of Doritos nearby while using this. So make sure you're doing it in a well ventilated area. I got the stuff all over the place. Luckily my bench is waxed, so I was able to wipe it off, but that stuff just finds its way everywhere. So now I'm just laying out the sides to make sure that everything is uniform and flat. As you can tell by the bracelet on my wrist, I'm trying to guard myself against the Texas state bird, the mosquito. Once it's all done, it looks like this, and this one has since survived a trip to Oklahoma with two 60-inch wings and two 36-inch wings in it, and it's holding up great. If you have any questions, leave me a comment below. Have a great day.